Thank you for tuning in to Koppen with Comic. I'm Brian Koppen, and we're here with comic Andrés Sereno. Andrés Sereno, how the hell are you?
All good, man.
Oh, good. Yeah, but real quick, pronounce the name how I'm supposed to pronounce it.
Andrés Sereno.
Andrés Sereno. See, it sounds even worse when I say it. And so where can people find you? You do stand-up in both English and Spanish.
Yeah.
And if they want to see that in New York City, where do they do that? But also, where do they find you online?
Well, online you can find me on Instagram at Andrés Sereno with one S in the middle.
Yeah, you share the S. That was a little confusing to me. I was like, did I get this email address wrong? You share the S on Andrés Sereno.
Exactly, yeah, Andrés Sereno. And also in Twitter, it's the same, Andrés Sereno, and Facebook, all of this, it's the same. I started doing that with the one S when I was like 12. Now I'm like,
You're so young you can say that.
Yeah.
I'm so old. It's like we didn't have that shit when I was 12. What are you talking about? And what dates do you have coming up? Where do you consistently do stand up?
I do every weekend on the New York Comedy Club.
Oh, cool.
I perform at the 5 p.m. show there on Saturdays and Sundays.
That's a pretty sweet gig.
Yeah, it's really good. It's really fun. The audience is really nice. And
do they does your audience expect the bilingual act?
No, well, I do stand up in Spanish, just in Spanish. Sometimes there are some shows that I produce in the city. I'm going to produce one at the Pit on April 5th. That's just in Spanish.
Okay.
With a lot of comedians that do it in Spanish. Actually,
cool.
Carmen Lynch is going to be there because she also does comedy in Spanish.
Wow. And so no English shows?
No. That's the one that I produce sometimes, and I produce another one also at the Pit that's called Press Uno for English. Yeah, that's all English show, but only Latin comedians.
Oh, cool. Yeah, so Press Uno for
English.
For English, those are all Latin comedians, but they're doing it in English, and that's at the Pit. Is that monthly?
Yeah, I tried to do it monthly, but it's like, sometimes it's just like the last one I did was on December.
So it could be every other month, but they can look at Andrés Sereno and all the social things to find out where you're doing it. And the Spanish one is at New York Comedy Club. Is like if they go to the New York Comedy Club one every Saturday at 5.
That's in English.
That's in English.
Yes, in English. Cool. Yeah.
Well, I mean, the fact that you're able to do both is amazing, and you came here about 5 years ago from Venezuela.
Yes.
And you are also producing house parties everywhere.
Yeah.
And so, but the fucked up thing about this is not only is he just a worldly party guy who's throwing the best parties in Brooklyn or wherever, right? Yeah. But also just doing the jokes and things. But during the day, he's an engineer.
Yes.
And then also he's dabbling in veganism, which is the most straightest thing you could fucking do. So I guess you are a jack of all trades, and how do you kind of reconcile the two? Are you just trying, is engineering the way that you're crafting jokes, and is veganism the way that you're going to stay alive long enough to be super, super famous?
Well, the vegan part, maybe.
Okay. Because you've been doing it for about a month, and you said you like it.
Yeah, I've been doing it. Yeah, actually, this is the 6th week that I've been doing it. Okay. And I've been feeling great, which is, I started doing it I'm just going to do it for a couple of weeks, just, detox a little, and And
it did that and more. You feel like you're resting better, is your energy up? Or?
Yeah, my energy's up. I'm writing better jokes.
Really?
Yeah, I'm feeling better, mentally. And I actually had in my set, a lot of jokes about vegans, criticizing them.
And how are you kind of keeping them in and laughing, mocking them? Or
exactly.
Are you taking them out?
I start with that.
I say, I'm actually a vegan.
And then I say, actually, guys, I'm a vegan.
That's hilarious. The fact that you had the presence of mind to keep it in.
Yeah, exactly. So I didn't want to let them go. So I was like, let's do this. Because I compared them with terrorists.
So now I'm their terrorist leader.
Yeah.
And so why did you even start? And going in, were you worried that my jokes won't be as funny if I'm not, eating normal food or drinking or whatever? You're not I don't know if you're staying away from vice as well, but were you a little bit worried that maybe, veganism means you're low energy, I won't have the same energy to do jokes?
No, it was, again, it was I just wanted to do it for, to feel healthy I don't do it for animals.
Fuck animals,
Fuck
right?
Animals. I don't do it for it's great that it helps, but I didn't do it for the animal, I have to be honest. I did it because I wanted to be healthy for like have a detox of meat and all of that. But then I did it after 2 weeks. I was feeling so good that I was like, oh shit, I guess I'm this now.
Wow.
And it's been 6 weeks and I don't want to stop. So it's interesting. And also, actually, one of the things is, I don't know why, one time in December, I was thinking, like, oh, I should, like, I have a lot of jokes about vegans. I should do veganism for, like, some time. And then, oh, guys, I did it, and it doesn't work.
So is that kind of why you did it? Because it was more of an experiment?
There was a mix of all of it. Wow. Yeah. So then it backfired. Now I'm like loving it. So, yeah.
And so, like, I guess veganism being terrorist, that's one of the things that made its way into your act. But what are some of the other things you're talking about? Like, are you talking about what Venezuela was like and how it's different from New York City?
Yes, I talk a lot about Venezuela, and actually was when I started doing comedy, was one of the things that I started talking about, because again, it's like what differentiate me.
Yeah, that's what's interesting for us to see. Yeah.
Exactly. And I compare like Venezuela with the U.S. and there's a joke I used to do a lot was I came to America because my country was fucked up by a narcissistic, egomaniac, selfish asshole who convinced everyone he was going to make my country better again.
And now
I'm like, ooh, right at home. So stuff like that. So that's what the type of things that I do. Comparing like dating in there or dating here, or going to school there. I'm writing something about college because, again, like you said, I'm an engineer. So I went to school there and I went to school here too. And for engineering, and I want to, compare the both and do all on how act about it.
Yeah, and how is dating different in here in Venezuela?
Women here are not as jealous.
Really?
Yeah.
So that means you can date several. Before you're exclusive, you can date several people. But in
exactly.
Venezuela, like
that's not a thing over there. Like, oh, we're not like, that phase where you're dating but you're not exclusive yet.
Yeah.
You don't have that there. If you're dating someone, you have to be exclusive.
Oh my Lord.
Yeah.
And so this is much better, I would think.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it's easier to find the right one if you're able to test a couple, I would think, right? Right?
Yeah, but the funny thing is like a lot of my Venezuelan friends, like our girls, they are now becoming the way they're here. It's a little bit more free.
They Americanize here?
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. You're like, maybe I don't have to be so jealous. Why was I so jealous in Venezuela? Fuck that. Just everybody else was. It's something they learned. And it's probably pretty easy for you to date here because you're a comic, but you're also, giving some kick-ass parties. And you have two different, you have English speakers and Spanish speakers to date from.
Yeah.
And then, are you just, shooing them away? Like, how are you able to juggle all those balls? Because you're also busy. You also have the day job in engineering. You're just too busy.
It's hard because it gets too busy. Like, I'm part of this group. We're called Exile Collab, where it's like a bunch of people from Venezuela mostly, and we organize these techno house parties, which is great. We found like a really tight community here of people who likes going out for like underground techno.
Yeah. And
we started doing that, and we're trying to grow and do a lot of stuff. So now I'm trying to do like a podcast for them, and since I'm like the one who actually speaks English very well, and I speak Spanish, so I can do both.
And you're funny.
And I'm funny. So,
so you're the go-to podcast guy. How do you make a podcast about that? Like, are you talking about the kinds of music or what?
Yeah, we're trying to we did we interviewed this producer from Venezuela who's doing parties here too.
Oh, cool.
We're interviewing DJs and people who goes to parties. So that's the type of things that we want to, it's not just fun and stuff. It's just how do you prepare for this? How do you select the music that you're going to put out there, or how you produce your own music. So
and so what are some of the things, other than making sure they have a set for Andrés Sereno, what kind of things, and I guess you're probably not doing stand-up at the house party, right?
No.
Okay.
No.
It'd be cool if you did, but what are the elements, if I wanted to go out and throw a kick-ass party, what are the things I have to do?
Find the right location.
What is the right location? It's got to be big enough. It's got to be far away where you're not going to get a lot of noise complaints.
Exactly. That's the main thing. You have to be big. You have to have good bathrooms. It's important.
Yeah.
And an area where you can put people where the bar is going to be, and it's not that far from the subway, or it's there's not exactly people who would complain.
Yeah.
So there's an area in Bushwick. It's around. It's like East Williamsburg, and it's like East Williamsburg and Bushwick. What they meet. There's an area where there's a lot of like techno and house parties. Like if you go there, if you're part of the thing, you will know. Like there's a lot of areas where you can.
And so these are all in a house, though. So it's it's not like you're using a warehouse illegally or something.
No,
it's
no,
just
exactly.
You're at somebody's house or something.
No. It's we're finding a location that is prepared to have parties.
And so it's all legal and shit?
It's legal.
Oh, cool. So you have to get make sure they have a bar permit and all that
exactly.
bullshit. Okay.
Yeah. We try to stay away from warehouse because we don't want to mess with the police or anything.
Fucking the fire that kills 13 and you're on the news.
The only thing that might be illegal is like we extended a little, like 2 hours and allowed.
Well, that's fine. All right. So then what, you went to NYU for, you didn't have to go to school twice, did you? I mean, you said you went there and you went here. Did you get your graduate degree here?
Yeah, I did. In Venezuela, I did my undergrad in civil engineering, and here I did my master in civil engineering.
Okay. And are you building bridges and shit?
Yeah. No, I'm actually in the office part of the side of the business of civil engineering. I do what's called BIM, which is building information modeling.
Okay.
So basically what I do is I model buildings or bridges or anything.
Like on a computer?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, okay.
And so we can have risk analysis and prepare for the actual construction. Sometimes I model while it's being built.
Okay.
So we can make sure nothing clashes with anything. Like if the pipes don't clash with some of the vents or
the pipes run right into the fucking vent.
Yeah.
And how does that kind of relate to constructing jokes? Like, do you find yourself? I mean, is your brain well suited to creating a joke because it works in that engineering way?
I think so, because one of the things about engineering is that you have to find a solution of a problem that you don't know. So you need to sometimes think around it and come up with different ideas to just build something or create something. So I think that helps a lot when it comes to comedy. Like if something is presented like a premise, and then you start thinking about other things like you might say that could solve that, and the solution has to be funny for a comedian. And in civil engineering, the solution have to be functional. So in a way, I think it helps.
Funny versus functional, but either way, you need a solution. And then is that helping you kind of transition from one bit to another? Like if you have the Donald Trump bit.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it's all gonna be pretty cohesive around the idea that you can be comparing and contrasting New York or U.S. with Venezuela. Yeah. And so when you find yourself doing that next hour, meaning like the first hour might be the differences between U.S. and Venezuela, but the second hour will be, okay, well, how are you raised and things like that? Like, is any of that stuff autobiographical stuff other than Venezuela versus U.S. making its way into your act? Yeah,
I write. I've been actually saying a lot of jokes about my parents coming here, and seeing them from because it was for example, the first time they came was the first time actually leaving the country, getting out of the country, and it was so interesting to see them interact with everything.
Must have been bizarre. They're a fish out of water, but they're kind of finding a way to make it work because they're raising kids and
exactly.
whatnot.
Like one of my bits, I talk about my mom, taking them to the World Trade Center. Like I pay for the tour and everything. Like I was like, yeah, let's have fun here, take a look at the city. And 15 minutes in, they were like, yeah, it's fine, whatever, let's go somewhere else.
They're like, I didn't know. Yeah, I didn't know this shit back in the day, so why should I care? Oh my lord!
Yeah, the only place they actually loved like crazy was Times Square, which I hate.
Because it's just a lot of action. There's stuff to see. It's not just some somber memorial.
Yeah. So I make that comparison. Like, come on, you're coming for a third world country.
But dude, you turned out to be a comic who does house parties and things like that. So I would think that your parents being Times Square could be where you got it.
Yeah.
If they were at home at the memorial, you might have just turned out pretty differently. You would have only been an engineer right now.
Yeah.
So the fact that they like the bright lights in the big city is just, that's why you are the way you are. And so they can find you across all social media and your upcoming shows. They can find that Andrés Sereno with the shared S in the middle. So but you're doing the New York Comedy Club every week. At Saturday, and that's the one in English.
Saturday and Sunday in English, and sometimes every other Monday I do the comic strip, and there's another show I do twice a month on Fridays at Black Cat Lower East Side, which is really fun. It's free, and it's like in a cafe, and like you can just go have a coffee or
That's
beers.
cool.
And there's a
So
lot
you
of
can have pay attention, like because I would think if you go to a cafe where people are just talking, that's probably not optimal for a stand-up comic to get up there and start yapping at them.
Yeah,
But
no,
if you're at a net cafe, you're like, well, I'll surf between when the comics come up, and if somebody's somebody is worthy of my attention, I will pay attention.
Yeah.
Okay.
And also
That's cool.
I host two open mics at that cafe.
Okay.
And but it's like at 6:30 and at 8, one on Monday and the other on Tuesday, and sometimes people don't receive that very well. Like Fridays nights, people is like, let's have comics, it's fun, but then
they're working the other nights of the week.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the one at New York Comedy Club, you have them both Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah.
And the one on Saturday is at 5, and the one on Sunday is at
5 too.
At 5 as well. Okay, that's easy to remember. And the Press Uno for Spanish is Press Uno for English.
Yeah.
Is the Latin comics who are doing it in English, and that's kind of a sporadic show where they can.
Yes.
It's at the Pit.
It's at the Pit.
So your last one was in December, and so your next one's coming up
March 15.
Oh, March 15th. And so they find you across all social media. Andrés Sereno, thank you so much for coming in.
Oh yeah, man, thank you so much. It was really fun.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah.